good afternoon and good evening, and welcome back to another episode of the ChatterBox podcast. We're now on to episode 3, and this is obviously my second episode where I'm going to be by myself. You're stuck with just this beautiful mug today. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to be having guests on next week as well, and then 2 weeks after that as well. So we'll have a good little sprinkling in of other people as well, so don't worry, you won't just have to deal with me, but today I'm afraid you sort of will. But I hope you really enjoyed my episode last week with Tomo, my first person to collaborate with on the podcast, which was great to do. And the first person, the first person I've collaborated with in real life, in person on my channel, because I've done stuff. I did a video on Mike F1 Fanatics channel, who I'll talk about a little bit later, where we did the driver ratings on his channel, and that was really fun. But great to have someone on my channel. It was so much fun to sit down, have a little chin wag with him, chat about Formula 1 and just general other things as well. And I can't wait to hang out with him, with Hannah, with Minton, with all them lot again in the future. Should be really, really good. So fantastic to hang with him, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. It's gone down pretty well, to be fair. I think it's got over 1,000 views now, which is very good, especially for a podcast, for a sort of an hour and a half show. It's fantastic. Gets the watch time up, certainly. So hashtag get Meerkat monetized there. Also other hashtags. Hashtag Bugs Lives Matter has come from that podcast now and seems to be used quite sporadically around social media. So there we are. Hashtag Bug Lives Matter. Get that trending. And also you guys seem to enjoy our meal deals as well. Now, speaking of meal deals, I can't lie, I have to apologise for this podcast. I just filmed, so basically the podcast is going to be going out next week, episode 4 with Mike from F1 Fanatics. I filmed that yesterday, so I filmed that last night. He brought meal deals with him for it, and I'd already had dinner. So I didn't eat it during that one, and I've still got it, and I'm still eating it today. So I've got the chicken and bacon mayo sandwich. Again, we've only had Tesco in the first few podcasts, so I'm gonna have to switch it up. But once I'm at uni, I'll be able to do that a bit more, because I'll sort of be in the city and be able to sort of do what I want. Whereas here, I'm a bit more confined with stuff to do and timings and blah 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 blah. So I'll be able to sort of just nip out 2 minutes to the shops and grab whatever I need. Whereas here, it's a bit of more of a trek. So yeah, so we've got chicken bacon mayo, Thai sweet chili sensations, and a Coke Zero. Now, I did have a 7-Up with it in the episode next week. But I drank that last night. So I've got just a can of Diet Coke from the fridge, or Coke Zero even. So hopefully you don't mind that as a meal deal. Please don't be too mean to me today. We'll be back to normal meal deals from next week, so don't you worry. Now, obviously, as I said, I had that one with Tomo last week, went super well. I've got the one with Mike from F1 Fanatics coming out next week, which, again, in person, should be great. And then 2 weeks after that, so for episode 6, I'm going to be having an episode with my dad. So that should be fun. I've already recorded that as well. And we just talk about, so he used to be a semi-professional racing driver and just doing stuff with Caterhams, and moved on to more classics recently. So just sort of talking through his racing career and giving sort of a racer's insight into that sort of world. So really fun to record, and again, I hope you enjoy watching or listening to that one as well. So as I've said as well, for these future ones, fan questions are always needed. Now, Twitter was a bit lacking on fan questions recently, and Instagram has been quite substantially better, so Twitter needs to up your game, as I think I've said now in this one, the next one, and episode 6. So Twitter, you're getting berated in the next few. But yeah, basically stay active on my Instagram, which is at MotoMeerkat, or my Twitter, which is at Moto_Meerkat, because some bastard has taken the one without the underscore. Be sure to stay active on there. I post like tweets, posts and stuff, asking for questions for these podcast episodes. And if you're lucky, if you put in a good enough question, then I might pick you and you might be in one of the podcast episodes. So there you go. That's a bit of incentive there for you. But yeah, I've got some later in this podcast as well, so be sure to stick around for those. Now, talking generally through content on the channel, we've just finished the Moto Meerkat World Series. Super happy that I managed to actually get it all done. 10 weeks of racing, and it's finally over. Amazing. It was so much fun. I really can't stress enough. It was so much fun. Now, Jack 123344 eventually won the series by 20 points, to be fair. Now, the maximum points you can get a round is 16, so that's 15 for the win, 1 for the fastest lap, and he won the championship by 20 points. Fair play to him. Did a super duper job, and his prize, he's already actually chosen. He's going to be getting a Moto Meerkat mug, so the one of the mugs with the banner, with the channel banner on it, but he's going to have it in blue instead to match the colour of his Renault Sport car that he won the championship in. So I thought that was really sweet. So getting that shipped to me, I'll sign it, and then I'll get it shipped over to Jack. So if you're listening, Jack, that'll be with you shortly. I mean, Teespring does take a while, so it might be about a month, but relatively shortly. But yeah, there were some fantastic battles throughout the championship and some great crashes as well. So all of the highlights and the full races are on this channel currently. And if you go over to my second channel, relatively soon there's going to be a video, I hope, if I can get it to work, of all of the highlights from the whole season put into one video. So we'll just have like a full season highlight reel. So there you go, that should be good. So definitely go down in the description, click the link to my second channel if you haven't already, drop a little subscribe over there. Loads of little crappy content over there that you might enjoy. So yeah, but I want to say thank you so much. Firstly, to everyone that competed. I had about like 30 people in the end over the whole season actually get involved and do at least a race. So brilliant to have all of you getting involved, getting excited and enjoying yourself, having some decent racing. And also, everyone that just watched, anyone that wasn't actually participating in the championship and just enjoyed tuning in for the episodes. I mainly thought a lot of the times, especially in the sort of the middle of the championship, that a lot of the people watching were just people that were in it, really, it seemed to be. But actually, it came out of the woodwork at the end. There were quite a few people that sort of, came out of the woodwork and just were like, oh, I've really enjoyed this championship, thank you for hosting it. I'm like, oh, you haven't said anything before, who are you? People just been like, oh yeah, I'm not like particularly vocal, I just don't really say anything, I just sit and enjoy and watch, and that's completely fair enough. If that's your prerogative, absolutely no problem. You can sit down and just watch and enjoy my videos. That's no worries at all. So I'm glad the people that jumped in and did enjoy watching it. So thank you very much. Now, there's been a lot of speculation. Will there be a Moto Meerkat World Series 2? Is the question. Probably not. Probably not in the near future anyway. I'd love to do something similar. Maybe another series add-on with the same drivers. Maybe a completely new thing. I don't know. I haven't got any thoughts particularly at the moment. I've had a lot of fun commentating over it and doing the whole shebang with that. So if there are any series out there that need a commentator, any particularly larger series than the Moto Meerkat World Series, and they want a commentator, be sure to let me know. Drop me a little DM, or I've got business email on my channel somewhere. You can have a look at that. But basically, I'm off to university tomorrow as I record this, and that'll be today as you watch this, because this is going out Tuesday 7 PM. I'll be arriving in Cardiff Tuesday at like 2 PM. So I literally would have just got there as you're watching this, if you're watching it just as it comes out. I'm not going to have the time, realistically. I'm moving into third year. I've got so much more to do, not only with university work, but I'm also the president of the motorsport club at my university this year, so that's going to be a lot of work, especially with the additional COVID stuff, and generally just YouTube stuff takes up quite a bit of time anyway. So it really takes a lot behind the scenes of Moto Meerkat World Series. Setting up, you guys just see the finished nice little product on my YouTube channel. It takes so much behind the scenes. So we got group chats, we got all these different documents with the rules and regs and all the having to work out the points and everything with it. It's a lot. So yeah, it's not going to be something in the near future, but possibly I've already got a plan. I'll let you in on a little secret. I've already got a plan for a sort of Christmas spin-off sort of thing around Christmas at the end of this year, so that should be good fun. So make sure you watch out for that. But that's going to be, yeah, as I said, sort of a little bit of a spin-off of the main thing. It's going to be a little bit different. That should be good fun. Whether we actually have a proper in-depth series anytime soon, I'm not sure. Maybe next summer when I have more time, but stick around on the channel. There definitely will be something at some point. Now, I'm going to be doing a lot more live streams when I'm at university, because I can sort of just sit down and be like, what's up guys, let's play some games, basically. So I'm going to try and do a live stream once a week. I'm going to try and hold myself to once a week. It might be difficult for some weeks where I have a little bit too much going on, but I'm going to try and hold myself to it. Usually every Saturday or every Sunday. One of those two, depending on basically if I get hammered on a Friday night or if I get hammered on a Saturday night. That'll be the decider of when I actually end up doing it. I'm hoping I can do my first sort of stream at university this Sunday, I think, hopefully, but don't hold me to that. Plans might change and stuff, but I'll be announcing stuff again over on my social media, so be sure to go and follow those if you want to keep up to date with what's going on. Now, I hope to be doing in these live streams, obviously doing more Project Cars 2 open lobby because they're so much fun. Not Project Cars 3, but I'll get into that a bit later. If you want to know my opinions on Project Cars 3, there was a fan question all about it, so we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. I want to do some F1 2020 open lobbies as well. I need to buy that game though, so I need to save up a little bit of money to get that. Then also, I've got Forza Motorsport 7, and a lot of people have actually been asking me, can you do Forza Motorsport open lobbies? I didn't realise that Forza 7 was the most recent game. I thought they must have had a new one since then, because I feel like I've had that game for ages, but some people want it, so I mean, if you do want it, let me know in the comments down below what you're feeling for open lobbies and what sort of games you want me to cover. But that's a possibility for the future anyway. And then also Call of Duty Warzone is what I wanted to get streaming. I need to work out how I can get people involved and get like comms working so so the stream can hear me and the other people in the lobby as well. I'll have to work that out. I think I can do something to do with Discord, but I'll get that sorted. And then also Fall Guys. Jesus Christ, that game has blown up, hasn't it? Bloody hell. Hopefully do something similar with that in future. Do some streams with that. Maybe getting people live on comms and whatnot. I need to have a little talk with Tomo because he runs it. I wasn't sure because Fall Guys still haven't released on Xbox, and I don't think they have any plans to release on Xbox. They have some deal with PlayStation that means that it's going to only be on PlayStation and on PC. But I wasn't sure whether my PC or my laptop, realistically, is going to be able to run the game and stream it at the same time. It could be a bit difficult. But I mean, Tomo's laptop is definitely not better than mine, and his does it. So I must be able to. I'll get something sorted, and we'll hopefully have a little play of Fall Guys sometime very near in the future. And I also want to do some streams where they're not just gaming, like streams where I'm literally just like sitting down, having a little chin wag in a chat, maybe a little Q&A in the chat. Obviously, I'll be doing those on Instagram as well, but maybe ones where I sort of do more reaction stuff. So reacting to like F1 memes, F1 other people's content, like the Simdane stuff, just F1 moments, YouTube videos, loads of other stuff. I don't know, all just spitballing and brainstorming with you here. But if you'd like to see that sort of stuff, yeah, have a little chat with me in the comments. Let me know what you want to see, what you don't want to see, all stuff like that. But yeah, I also want to, in September, I need to get better at using Streamlabs. I've only turned it on a couple of times. I mainly just use the normal OBS, so the standard streaming software. Streamlabs is like the bit better one, I think, where you can integrate people's like messages in the stream chat and donations and things like that. I don't really know. I need to have a look at it and start learning how to use it properly, and hopefully I can make the streams look like a little bit cooler and a little bit nicer to look at. But yeah, now I've sort of bored you with all my stuff to do with the channel, what I'm wanting to, well, what I've had in the past and what's been going on and what I'm hoping to do in the future now. Everything's sort of beginning to go as I move on to university for my final year. And yeah, I'm just super excited to continue to make more content for you guys and sort of just spitballing new ideas out and seeing what sticks to the wall, because I'm enjoying doing everything and just interacting with you lot. So yeah, thank you for joining in for the first half of the ChatterBox podcast. Don't go anywhere. Be sure to join me for the second half after this short break, where I'm going to be talking about all about the Belgian Grand Prix that's just gone ahead last weekend. Oh my goodness, we got a lot to talk about with that. And then discussing also the situations at the moment with Ferrari and Red Bull. So as I said, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the third episode of the ChatterBox podcast, and you're still stuck here with me. It's Sir Meerkat, just going to be continuing to talk today about general crap. And without further ado, let's have a little talk about the Belgian Grand Prix. Oh my god, what a beer fest. What a beer fest. I wish it was a beer fest. I would have been sinking a couple of pints there. What a bore fest. I mean, Jesus Christ. It was so dull. We thought the Spanish Grand Prix was boring. Jesus Christ. The Belgian Grand Prix was so dull. I mean, we did have a good few battles in the midfield, and we had people like, I think I mentioned in the one with F1 Fanatics, about Sean from the F1 Word said, "Oh, I really enjoyed it." What do you want about me? Yeah, there was some good midfield battle, but Jesus Christ, the front running was so dull. So dull. But hey ho, anyway, let's have a talk through of what exactly happened. We knew that whoever was leading out of the first corner was probably going to win it, and that is what happened. Lewis Hamilton obviously leading out the first corner, getting that easy win, like 8 seconds ahead of Bottas, I think he was by the end. Bottas, he had a good start, but he just didn't, again, it just doesn't have that, the oomph, I'm gonna get you, Hamilton, he just doesn't have it, does he? He's just like, I don't even know how to describe it. He had at the start, he was right up the rear end of Hamilton going into the first corner, and just decided he didn't really want to do it. It just was like, okay, I'll let him go. There you go, bye Hamilton, see you later, and he's just gone. So there we are, Bottas just be doing his usual role of getting second place, chilling in second place, picking up the points of Mercedes, and yeah, again, doing his job. Max picking up a third, standard again, in his usual position, just behind the Mercedes, not quite being able to challenge, is his usual spot now, isn't it? Further down, brilliant from the Renaults, fantastic to see them so far up. Ricciardo, I had a bet on Ricciardo to get a podium, so out of the last few laps, I was wishing him to go on. I was like, come on Ricciardo, put in the pace, and he was going for it. He got the fastest lap on the final lap. He was pushing so hard, and he reduced a gap from, it was like 12 seconds to like 2 or like 2.5. It was mad to watch. He was absolutely putting the pace in on the slightly newer tyres, and just that Renault was looking really good. So great for them. But I mean, Ricciardo's leaving them the year, and that Renault is starting to look better than the McLaren. Possibly it might just be the track. You never know, but it's looking good. So has Ricciardo made a good decision there? We can definitely say that Sainz hasn't, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So yeah, Ricciardo doing super well, going really quick, almost got that podium off Max, but Max was able to manage the tyres perfectly and just about stay ahead of him for the end of that race. And then also his teammate Esteban Ocon doing a very good job as well. I was very surprised, actually, pleasantly surprised at how well he did. Was able to sort of, well, he came in the position behind his teammate, and that's what he's looking to do. He's looking to keep on the back of Ricciardo as much as he can, and get better in that car and get more used to the team, and that's exactly what he's doing. So fair play to him. Had a good little battle around with Albon and Norris, wasn't it, in the Red Bull and the McLaren, who weren't doing quite as well, but Ocon came out the victor of those battles, so well done to him. He obviously, as I said, he beat Albon. Albon's still really struggling, isn't he? I really don't know what path the Red Bull should take, whether they should continue with their very, right, he's doing badly, out, he's gone, get someone else in, see if they can do it. If they can't do it, out, get someone else in. Like, I don't know if that continuing cycle is actually going to help them in any way. So there's a lot of people, it's very split, isn't it? 50-50. A lot of people are saying, give him time, he will be able to get better, get more used to the car, get more used to the team, and start picking up those results, start getting the podiums and whatnot that Red Bull need him to get. And other people are saying, no, he should be axed now, he's not doing well enough, he should be gone. I'm probably more on the side of the fence of give him a bit more time and see, at least until sort of maybe the end of the season. If he's still languishing down in sort of 6th and below, then yeah, I can understand that you might not want to keep him in, but Albon's just so lovely. I don't want him to get kicked. I mean, I felt the same about Gasly. I felt really bad for him as well, getting kicked for not really. I mean, his performances weren't great, but I feel like Red Bull were a little bit too heavy-handed there. And mentioning Gasly, bloody hell, he was looking strong at Spa, wasn't he? Doing super well. He did well with that safety car that came out from the crash that I'll talk about in a little bit. He did well, stayed on the hards, got up to like P4, I think it was, on the restart. Doing pretty well out there on those hard tyres, and managed to come home in 8th place with Kvyat, his teammate, coming in 11th. So Gasly again picking up the points when Kvyat isn't. So great to see from Pierre there, doing really well and showing maybe he should be considered to go back up into that Red Bull seat. But again, is that just going to be history repeating itself? And is then Albon going to start doing sick in the AlphaTauri and Pierre just really not being able to do it in the Red Bull again? I don't know what is going to happen there. We're going to have to wait and see whether the Helmut Marko's iron fist is going to be coming down on those two drivers. We'll have to wait and see. But Yeah, Mike had differing opinions in the episode next week. You can wait and listen to his. He's very much of the iron fist, I think, of maybe giving a little bit more time, but realistically Albon is not up to par, which is fair enough, but you have to wait until next week until you can hear his opinions on that. Then another person I mentioned, Lando Norris, was beaten by Ocon and by Albon. Ended up finishing in P7. Did all right, didn't he? We didn't really see him about much at all. Sort of just did fine, picked up the points that he needed to, and did all right. But it's not quite what McLaren were at the first 2 rounds, is it? Getting a podium and up in there in sort of the P5, P6 spot all the time. Now, sort of languishing a bit further down in the top 10, but still doing well, so fair play to him. And then Carlos, his teammate Carlos Sainz, didn't even get to start the race. He had some exhaust problems, I believe it was, and just didn't even get out on the track. I'm not sure, I think it was quite late that they found that out, near the start of the race. They realised, oh god, there's a problem here, attempted to fix it, couldn't do it in time, and he was out. So frustrating for him. And it must have been even worse for him being sat at the sideline watching the Ferraris go round in the teens, in the teen places. Oh my god, Ferraris, that is mental. He's just going to be absolutely shitting himself, isn't he, Sainz? Just being like, oh my god, what have I got myself into for 2021? I'm now going to be stuck in this car for at least a year of this terrible, terrible car until the rules change for 22. Like, I feel really bad for him. I feel really bad for Sainz. And speaking of Ferrari, Raikkonen, the man who was dropped from Ferrari at, end of 2018, finished ahead of them. Finished in P12, I think it was, yeah, P12 for Raikkonen, ahead of the 2 Ferraris in P13 and P14. That is insane that a Ferrari customer team beat the 2 Ferrari works teams. That is mad. Just absolutely mental. But fair play to Raikkonen being able to get past them and stay ahead. Really weird seeing Raikkonen and Vettel, 2 world champions, and Vettel obviously being a multiple world champion, battling out for like 13th place. That is mental. Oh, I feel so bad for both of them. For both Vettel, Raikkonen and Leclerc. Just, both of the Ferrari drivers just not doing great, and Raikkonen realistically just, I think, probably needs to get out of the sport at the end of the year, but I've talked about that previously, so we won't go into any further detail about that. And it's just going from bad to worse for Ferrari, especially now the fact that we know that this weekend coming, it's going to be the Monza race. And oh my god, that's not going to be kind on the Ferraris, is it? I mean, at least there's a silver lining to every cloud, as we mentioned in many streams and many podcasts and videos before. There's a silver lining to every cloud, because the crowd, the fans, are not going to be there for Monza. So that's good. At least they're not going to get absolutely berated by any Tifosi that might have been there. But still, really not great for the Ferraris. With Monza, we're expecting a low place finish, somewhere around what they got this weekend, maybe even lower. So really bad luck for them. And then also, a lot of people are saying, well, I mean, the car is obviously slower because of the fuel thing from last year, because they had the engine, they couldn't prove that their fuel flow didn't increase and decrease throughout the race and stuff like that. It's clearly because of the engine regulations that made them slower. And yet people on social media, Binotto out, kick Binotto, he's shit, kick him. I'm like, what? Boys, it's clearly because, yes, I know Ferrari don't make the best decisions and the strategists can be questionable sometimes. Yes, I'm not sure it all has to go on to Binotto though. I feel like that's a bit mean. Everyone's, like, so many people calling for him to be sacked immediately. It's like, okay, I think that's a little bit harsh. And there's definitely, obviously, partially his fault. I mean, he is the team principal, so he is overseeing everything at the end of the day. But you can't be putting the whole blame on him like that. I think that's a bit much. And then there's definitely a lot more nuances than we can see, let alone with the team that's going on, and just, yeah, I just feel like you guys should chill on the Binotto hating and just allow him to do his thing this season. I do think he could be out relatively soon. I feel like it might be another one of sort of staying till the rule change and possibly get someone in from there. But yeah, again, chill on the hating, boys. Chill on the hating. Now also, some other people that will be going, oh fuck, are the Ferrari junior drivers. Obviously we got Schumacher, we got Schwartzman, we got Eilert. Who of those three is actually going to go up next season? Not too sure, but the Ferrari engine is still going to be having problems next year in 21. It's just a guarantee that the Ferrari car and the Ferrari customer teams, so Alpha Tauri and Haas. No, what am I on about? Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo and Haas are the 2 customer teams, obviously. They could possibly be getting some of these junior drivers next year, but the engine's still not going to be great, and these guys are still going to be languishing a bit, so I don't know if they're not feeling so great anymore about signing with the Ferrari junior program. And then another team not doing so great at the Spa race was Racing Point. Like, boys, at the start of this season we were like, oh my god, Racing Point, they're going to be up there, and then with the top teams it's going to be Mercedes versus Red Bull versus Racing Point. This is going to be insane. And they've just fallen off. They just have. Like, at the start of the races they were looking like they could get podiums. Didn't quite, but they were always up there and getting close in races with like 4th and 5th. Usually, that's what we had last time at, I can't remember the track, but they had 4th and 5th at the one before Spa. What was it? Was it the second Silverstone? Could have been. Might be wrong there. Anyway, I'm getting a brain fart completely there. And they finished 9th and 10th at Spa, the Racing Points. So, I mean, still both getting points, but not what we thought they were going to be. Being behind McLaren, behind the singular... What the fuck am I trying to say? Alpha Tauri. That's what I'm trying to say. Gasly and Alpha Tauri, and the 2 Renaults as well being behind them. So, not great, is it? Not great for them. That car should be doing better, especially around the track. I thought it would be doing pretty well with the Mercedes engine power in that as well. Obviously, Mercedes winning the race quite comfortably. But I don't know, I thought they'd be doing better. I'm interested to see how Racing Point do at Monza as well, whether they just don't quite have the legs. Maybe that was their problem. Maybe that was their problem at Spa. But hey-ho. Then the only really mad thing that happened at the race in Spa was the shunt between Giovinazzi and George Russell. Giovinazzi binned it right near the end of the race last year. This year, he did it much more early on. It was only a few laps in, I think. Less than 10, I'm pretty sure. He clearly just lost the rear of the car, like halfway through that left-hander. I cannot tell you the name, I've got no idea. But like halfway through that left-hander, he clearly loses the rear. About halfway spinning, he catches it again on the steering wheel, but overcorrects it way too far, gets all the wiggle on, and goes spinning straight round, bang, into the barrier, straight back across the track with debris going everywhere. And George, poor lad, just had nowhere to go. Literally, it was just smoke of like steam of coming off this car, and then suddenly out of the smoke comes this tyre immediately coming straight at him, and he's like, crap, turns left, nothing he could do, bang, it hits straight into him. And I think that definitely most people will say, yeah, that's not his fault, and I think most people will agree now that thank God for the halo. I know this time it didn't quite need to be in use. The front right of George took most of the impact of that wheel, but still, that could have leapt up, hit him in the head, gone around him, hit him somewhere around here. It could have been bad. So I'm glad we do have the halos on now. We've sort of got used to the looks of them now, haven't we? So it's fine. We can allow it now, and I think it's definitely showing itself more and more and more every time there's crashes like these, being like, yeah, okay, the halo was a good thing to have there. So fair play. But with Gio, what was that crash? Like, I don't even know. He just seemed to lose it for no reason. I'd love to see the data and see what exactly happened on that car there, or whether it was just a mistake on his part. If it was, you can't really be doing that, mate. That was really bad from you there. But I think we can all probably agree that Giovinazzi's not going to have a seat for 21. I'd be surprised if he does. I'd be very surprised if he does, that they don't switch him out for one of the Ferrari junior drivers. But there we go. That's also down to opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know what you generally thought of the Belgian Grand Prix. It was, yeah, quite the bore fest. Some all right midfield battles, but I'm really hoping that the race this weekend in Monza will be a little bit more interesting. Hopefully see a bit more grunt from, yeah, say Renault and whatnot, and then maybe a Danny Rick podium is on the cards. That would be nice to see, but we'll have to, again, wait and see this weekend and actually understand what happens. But speaking of interacting with me in the comments, thank you all for interacting with me for fan questions over on my Instagram and Twitter. As I mentioned earlier, got loads of you chiming in, wanting me to answer a couple of questions. So here we go. We'll start with at Chase.Rothwells on Instagram. He asked, what are your thoughts on Project Cars 3? Because I know you host the Project Cars 2 lobbies quite often. Now, I spoke already about the Project Cars 2 lobbies a bit early in this podcast, but Project Cars 3, my God, Musterstein. Holy crap. What a shit game. It looks terrible. It looks so bad. It really looks bad. I've had a couple of people that have said on Instagram that have been like, oh no, I've bought it, mate. It's actually pretty good. But it just doesn't look good, boys. I think you have to... The most annoying thing... Okay, right. Restarting the point. I think the most annoying thing to most people is just the fact that it's called Project Cars 3. That is the only problem I have with it. If it was called Grid 3 or, I don't know, a new game, I don't know, Racing Driver 3000, whatever, it doesn't matter. If it was called that, I would say, no problem. It's a little arcade game, a little bit of fun, whizzing about, doing stuff, where you can drift it to like 90 degrees and then still catch it and carry on. Like, yeah, it's a bit of fun, shitty arcade game, fine. If you get enjoyment out of that, that's no worries at all. That's up to you and not down to me. It's not a game for me, but equally I can see that there is a market out there for it. We've got loads of similar games like Need for Speed Shift, things like that. But it's just the fact that this game started off as a... what do you call it? Like a GoFundMe type thing. What they called? Kickstarter, that's it. Kickstarter. Where people like putting forward money, wanting it to be this game for the fans, by the fans, getting like a simulator right, both on PC and specifically on console. That's what we really wanted. And it's what they were starting to do. I hadn't played Project Cars, the first one, I've only played 2, and it's certainly a very good sim. There's loads of things about it that are positives. There's also a lot of it about it that's negative. That just are things that they could have ironed out, connection issues and things like that they could have just gotten better for this third game. And I think if they had just sort of taken the second game and made it better, ironed out all these flaws, Project Cars 3 would have been sick, man. It would have been so good. It would have been a definite buy from me, 100% for my Xbox. But now they've just changed it into this arcade game, and it's just looking awful. And boys, I'm not going to be buying Project Cars 3. I'm not going to be doing any lobbies at all on it because you can't do pit stops. You can't. There's no safety cars. There's no nothing. It's just shit. It's not a racing game. It's not a sim game. It's an arcade game, and I really dislike that Project Cars 3 has become this. And I think that the game is really going to tank. I think it's really not going to do very well. To be honest, at least I hope so. I really hope it does shit. And it's Codemasters, isn't it, that own the company that make it now. I really hope Codemasters get their act together and actually make us a decent sim. But there we go, because they certainly don't make a decent sim with F1 2020. So there you go. That's my hot take there. F1 2020 is shit. But there we are. To be fair, I haven't played 2020, but I'm assuming it's just F1 2019 with a few new things. I'm probably correct on that. In F1 2019, the driving is just awful. But there we go. I'll still be up for doing some open lobbies if people fancy it. So there we go. Then, at Triple Crown Racing on Instagram, he says, do you see the real world racing you're doing now going anywhere? No, mate. No, I'm not nearly good enough. I'd say I'm alright at karting. Relatively decent, but I'm nothing special. I'm just like as good as my brother and my dad. We go around, piss about, have a bit of fun, set some decent lap times, but we're nowhere near any lap records at any tracks. I definitely also don't have the money to go on any further, even if I was capable enough to move on to sort of proper karts and then car racing and stuff. But I would like to do some racing in the future. I need to get a racing license to begin with. And I'd love to do some stuff in the future, but it's not ever going to be like, oh, I'm going for Formula 1. No, it's never going to happen, boys. I enjoy it, firstly, my food too much, and spending money on other things. So that's not going to happen. I don't have the staying power to try and go proper high-end or to the top of racing. It's more just going to be me pissing about and doing fun stuff in karting and club racing and stuff like that. I hope sort of in my 20s and 30s and stuff would be good fun. Maybe earn a little bit of money. Hopefully, if this YouTube stuff goes well, maybe, I don't know, we could be making vlogs and that sort of thing at races. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, Triple Crown, I don't think so. Realistically, more just doing racing for fun, mate. At Scott W17, he's actually one of my Patreons, so a big shout out to Scott Wilson there. He said, why the anti-Dorito stuff last week? Basically, if you haven't seen the last week episode of the ChatterBox podcast, I clowned on Doritos a lot. I'm going to back myself up in there, but I'm also going to say this is Doritos in a meal deal. Okay, Doritos on the, okay, firstly, Doritos, if you get Doritos Cool Original or Tangy Cheese, get out. Chili Heat Wave is the only one realistically to get because the other ones are just crap. And then Doritos with a bit of salsa, very bomb. I do like from time to time. Doritos in a meal deal is not okay. It is just not okay. You can't be getting a sandwich and a drink and whatnot, and then getting Doritos. What are you, a madman? If there's no salsa to dip it in, why even bloody have them? What's the point? Yeah, I'm feeling very strong about the Doritos today, it seems. I don't know, but yeah, sorry, Scott. I'm sorry about the clowning on the Doritos, man, but they kind of deserve it. If you're getting a Doritos in a meal deal, bros, it's just a no-go for me. It's a no-go for me. Right, so moving on to the final question. At Naren_071204 on Instagram, they said, do you think Fernando Alonso will make an impact on his return to Formula 1? I would love to see him race again. Well, yeah, you are going to see him race again, mate, don't you worry. Next year, it's going to be good to see, especially, as I've been saying earlier in the podcast, that Renault is getting better and better and better. Like this year, they've really had a few years now of just going like, and this year they've started to do this. And it's looking good. It's looking good at the moment. So I'm excited to see how they do. We got Ricciardo leaving, as we know, going to McLaren. Fernando Alonso coming in. With that, I think they might have nailed it here, to be honest, with Fernando coming in. An older, if he can just stop being a little bitch like he was at McLaren, an older guy, knows a lot about Formula 1, has won World Championships, and I'll just have that a complete brain fart as well. Yeah, so he's won a World Championship, and he could bring all that sort of experience through with him. He's also done other series as well, IndyCar and all that lot. He's done so much different racing, LMP racing, all that. He could really bring that experience and that help to the team to help them continue that upward trajectory and keep it going up and up and up until Renault are able to hopefully make it as a front-running team. But then with the rule change in 22, I'm not sure how that will affect them, but I think Fernando could do a good job. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he does against Esteban Ocon, because Esteban Ocon can be a bit of a hothead. So if they're relatively close on track, I'm not sure what might happen between those two, because Fernando also can be a slight hothead. So that will be interesting. But I feel like Fernando should comfortably beat Ocon. Ocon does obviously have a year now back in with the Renault, so we'll have that slight experience, but Fernando's just such an incredible driver. I think he'll pick it up pretty quickly. So I'm excited to see him back in as well, Naren. But will he do very well? I think he'll continue the trajectory that they're currently on, getting their engine very good now, that Renault, and getting it being pretty quick around Spa, hopefully Monza this weekend as well, but they need to sort of pick up that aero package now and try and have the sort of full thing going on at Renault. So I'm super excited to see Fernando Alonso back on the sport. How well he will do, I think he's going to make an impact, mate. He'll make an impact in his own way. We'll put it like that. But that's all for today's fan questions. And also, that's all for today of episode 3 of the ChatterBox podcast. I've been Sir Meerkat, and thank you for joining in, watching, listening, whatever you're doing. If you did enjoy, drop a like down below if you're watching on YouTube. Follow the podcast on Spotify if you're listening on there. And also rate us 5 stars on Apple Music if you're listening on there, because all those things really help us out, sort of get up the algorithm and shows people that you're really enjoying it. So thank you very much for that. Otherwise, have a lovely rest of your week. We can pray for a good race at Monza and hopefully for Ferrari to not do too badly. I really hope so. But in conjunction with that, I may have a video all about Ferrari coming out this Friday at 7 PM. So be sure to tune in for that as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching to or listening to another episode of my ChatterBox podcast. I've been Sir Meerkat. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see all of you Meerkats later. Goodbye, guys.